Hey guys, we're back this morning with another Breakfast with the Banner. We've been doing quite a few of these during the week now, so instead of just Wednesday, we're kind of hitting a couple of days a week now. So I want to thank you for joining us this morning, though, and we've got a special guest with us this morning. We've got Mr. Jeff Sims, and he is Magistrate over District 4. So we're going to be talking about just a lot of things this morning, what's going on in the county, what he's over, what he sees. And, of course, if you have any questions for Jeff, of course, the feed is open. So this would be a good time to get your questions in for anybody who's in your district, whatever kind of question you may have. And I'm sure he can spout them off to you, get those questions answered. And, of course, cold weather's set in.
It's here.
It's here, unfortunately.
So I have salt anxiety when the cold weather gets here because I start wondering about the weather and what it's going to be like for the year. You know, we went 3 years and we didn't hardly use a grain of it. And then last year we used all we had and we had to buy a little extra. So we had that 3-week stint of stuff. But, you know, that just goes with it. Yeah. We can't control that one.
No, I know my hands are chapped right now, but I wash them too much.
It's just a pleasure to be here with you today, Chad. You know, Chad and I've known Chad since he was born, and you know, I had the opportunity yesterday to run into Merlin and Pat Alsterbrook.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they were part of my village growing up out on Crowder Dulaney Road.
Oh, yeah.
Eddie and Ann Tosh and Laverne and Alvy Coleman and Merlin and Pat, and of course Robert and Ethel Oliver was Chad's grandparents. And I tried to eat every Sunday with Mammy because
she cooked some good meals.
I blame this on her, the foundation of this body, on Mammy Oliver. But we had Gary and Wanda Pink and the Winners, and man, it was just the grand staffs, Larry and Debbie and the boys, and Delbert Tosh. So I just had the best place to grow up and the best people. And, you know, that's a big driver for my service is trying to reinstill that sense of community and sit on these front porches with folks and go visit them. And, you know, I'm not much of a talker, but, you know, that's what it is.
Yeah,
well. But that's how I grew up. And, I mean, sitting on those porches with Otto Osselbrook and Delbert Tosh and your grandparents and, you know, as a country boy, that's what you had to do. You know, we didn't have a lot of playmates. We had a few, the grandstaff boys, but, we did a lot of visiting.
Yeah.
So,
well, I tell you what, those were some good times back then. That was some of my best times.
They were the best.
During the summer, come and hang out with you and John, and of course you guys had a big trampoline.
Yeah,
I can remember having some big times down there, and of course then when Marty Tabor. Yeah. You know, of course, still stay in touch with Marty. And,
he was around.
Yeah, back there living in that cabin, and Carlo out there.
Yeah,
those were some. Those were some good times. I remember those.
A lifetime of memories was made in a short time. It's fun to reflect on that. So, Pat and Merlin kind of reinstilled that all yesterday and brought it up. So, I just wanted to mention them this morning and what a blessing they all were. Man, it was just great. Yeah,
we had some good times. And then, of course, Miss Sue. I cannot love Miss Sue. So
she's a dandy.
She's been a mama to many of us.
That's right. Yeah. I'm lucky and blessed to call her my own.
I'm sure.
Absolutely.
She was great. Just it's been a great time. Good to look back on those memories.
Yes, sir.
Of course, that's what I want to. Of course, knowing you growing up, and you're a couple of years older than I am, and we, of course, I never would have thought. Of course, I'm sure back then probably politics wasn't. Or was it? I don't know. Was it a part of what you wanted to do?
No, I never really got into it. I mean, I was your typical adolescent and running around and doing everything that we all do, and four-wheelers and horses and everything else. And really until I got later on, probably my mid-20s, early 30s, I really started giving it some consideration just because I started to overlay, you know, my life and education and experiences on, you know, what's going on, you know, the blessing of being able to travel and see what's going on out in the world, and living in Orlando for 3 years and Lexington.
I didn't know you lived in Orlando.
I did. Yeah, I sure did. And, you know, being able to look at that stuff and kind of go, hey, how can we overlay this? But the big thing that really drove me was to kind of see our community, and for a variety of factors, kind of appear to what looked like in decline for me. You know, the strong political and civic organizations and that kind of networking of the
Right.
front porch discussions and
Right.
having breakfast with people and going to church and those things. Technology has really impacted
Yeah.
how that all functions
Yeah.
and how that web works. So now at my age, I find it super interesting because I'm in an age where I can be a conduit through technology
Right.
to younger generations,
Right.
and then still have the ability to sit on the front
Right.
porch and relate to somebody of
Yeah.
the older generations,
Yeah.
and that's just a fascinating place to be.
Well, and that's something that's lost on generations now is being able to sit down and have conversations with them because it gets lost. I mean, I'm thankful that we have this
Absolutely.
this
Great
technology that we've got,
communication tool.
that we can reach so many people that we're not able to, but to
Sure.
still be able to reach them personally and
Right.
to sit down and visit with them that way. And of course, I know with COVID now that's something we've talked about a lot. You weren't able to do that, and now things are getting back to normal. You can go and visit people, and
Yeah.
it's great to that one-on-one. Seeing someone face to face is always great.
It's critical. It totally changes the narrative of
Yeah.
your discussion with people, like being here you today and then projecting out. That's
Right.
a whole face-to-face interaction is just it's vital. It's part of our humanity.
Yeah.
We have to have it. So
Yeah.
it's good to get back to that. And unfortunately, we've had the reinforcement of a year and a half, 2 years of being locked down. So that's kind of like the 09 ice storm. I don't want to.
I don't ever want to go back to that.
I'm good.
I've got some
good.
good memories. I think we all all
Yeah.
have good memories.
I'm good with that. We don't need to go there.
But I know talking about the technology, I know there's a lot. Of course, they've been discussing in the fiscal court meetings with internet out in the county. And of course, it's something that's kind of. I mean, it's not served as great as living in town.
No.
We're not
No.
unless you have satellite capabilities with internet. And so, why don't you give everybody a little update on what's going
Sure.
on there?
Well, we just recently entered into a contract with Pennyroyal Rural Electric, and that's spending some of our federal ARPA dollars that we were awarded, and those were designated by the federal government to be allocated for specific projects or specific technologies. So, internet being one of those. So, we were able to partner with Pennyroyal Rural Electric because they're electric cooperative, and they enjoy some kind of, some special privileges as far as oversight and other things that kind of clear the way. Of course, anytime we talk about federal dollars, state dollars, local government, there's always a chance of some kind of underlying bureaucracy or regulation or whatever. So we're working as diligently on the northern side of the county, but Kenergy is, and KU and all that group are governed by the Public Service Commission, so you have to use them as kind of a clearinghouse.
Okay.
And so that kind of, and Kenergy's partnering with a third party to administer that and lay the fiber, and so it's
Right.
just a little more complicated.
Right.
We still have high hopes for it, but there's some issues beyond our local control that we didn't have with Pennyroyal that's
Okay.
going to allow us to go on and get started.
Yeah.
The other thing about it is trying to understand the capability and the run-up of SpaceX and Elon Musk things that are going on in satellite internet. When you talk about satellite internet, there are some out there already. HughesNet's one in my district, and I've got a guy out there that does graphic design. And when I was campaigning, he said, "Man, this is costing me $700 a month."
Ooh.
But to run my business,
Right.
and it's like, wow, So we're going to get speeds through the Pennyroyal deal of, you can get upgraded speeds, but I mean, each home that it goes to, you're going to be able to get a gig of the highest technology internet possible. So most everybody can run all of their needs off of that. And it's annoying to me because I can't stream. Everybody talks about streaming and cutting the cord and doing all this, and
you're
even
not able to do
in my
that.
house, I can't do it. So we try to download and or try to stream some of my nephew's basketball and football games and stuff like that. And we
You just can't.
struggle mightily.
Yeah.
So, it's something we got to have. I think COVID, as many people said, it's shined a spotlight on what the value of internet is, especially on any kind of online education.
Yeah.
So, and now the biggest thing for me, and something that I'm really engaged in and trying to drive about this is right now we're at the most unique time in probably the United States in generations, in the fact that industry and people are decoupling and uncoupling and dividing. And I know of a company that's a large company, and they let every one of their commercial leases go for their office space. Every one of them.
So they're just working from home.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, from the CEO to the lowest level manager.
Yeah.
And so what they'll do is they'll engage in, the internet-based apps that are out there that many people become familiar with. But they'll also just go and rent a conference space or, and do something annually, quarterly, whatever their needs arise, but not have the carrying cost of this at all times. So, in the force of the labor market, for me, something I'm trying to pivot around and try to look at is what's our opportunity to attract people from other cities, much larger cities, other states. And what I've seen is there's already been a migration from Owensboro to Paducah through the trash side of things. I've seen 340 small businesses. Not all those were small businesses, but some of them were, and then individuals migrate from Illinois to a stretch between Owensboro and Paducah.
Really?
Last year.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, they're escaping taxation. They're escaping a lot of things. Yeah. But, the move is on. Christian County, I've seen about 10 families move from California. So I think we're in a unique place and unique opportunity to be able to sell what we are.
Right.
But provide the technology. Hey, you want to move somewhere that's business friendly, that's a friendly place, that's safe, that's accessible to anywhere in the eastern United States. I mean, we got a ton going for it. So, and having discussions with state leaders and others, we got to start trying to capitalize and make gains in that area. And I think our economic development folks are looking that way.
Yeah, well, Princeton's growing.
So, it is, but I mean, the census.
Yeah.
There's two things in play there, Chad, that I always look at is, and it's going to go into something that I'm passionate about, and I want to make sure people are clear on, and that's, I've been engaged in a lot of discussions lately of properties for sale, rental properties, availability, and that type of stuff. And what's so critical about that is that right now we're at 200 jobs in our two main industries, our highest generating revenue industries from taxation standpoint, from support of our water, sewer, electric, in Bremner and Hydro Gear, and they're struggling to get people.
Yeah.
And so we have to, but the thing is, it's impossible to get people, with the cost of gas right now, with all these factors in place for the cost of things, if they don't have anywhere to live.
Right.
We have a great opportunity to have people engaged in our workforce, but we have to continue to develop places for them to live. So, there's local development going on. There's several local citizens that are engaged in the rental space, but there are also local citizens that are rehabilitating properties for rental or ownership and building new.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is just a critical piece of this puzzle. So we got to have people that want to be in that space, that are committed to our community. I don't care how, they can make the money that they feel is necessary for the time and effort they put in. But they need to provide a quality place, whether it's a rental property, whether they're building it to suit. It's got to be attractive to these people that we want to call a home to our community. Right. People want to talk about drug problems in the United States and Kentucky, and certainly here. I mean, everybody has them.
Right.
But a differentiator you see is that you'll see the higher quality your housing is, the lower. It's an inverse, it's a direct relationship.
Yeah.
So, that's something that's, it's not always popular when you take on things. And in this role, people still like to draw lines. Like your county, your city, your state, I've got an issue right now I'm working on that it literally comes to the county, the city, and the state. I mean, if I drew a circle, I mean, it would be a foot big, and that's where the issue is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like we want resolution. I want resolution for the issue.
Right.
I'm not ultra concerned about picking up the phone and calling the state, or ultra concerned about picking up the phone and calling CODA or somebody on the city council. And that's some things in this technology leap and the different time that we're in, the speed of things that happen. We just got to continue to work together, work to improve that communication. And, that was a cornerstone of when I ran for office. That was, I don't like back alleys. I don't like shady stuff. I like to get out there and it's like, hey, here it is. And that's what I feel I'm elected to. So, people seem to respond well to my communications as far as road closures, signs missing, school bus, paving, whatever's going on, interviews like this, interviews with WPKY, whatever. I'm a representative of the people. So it's ultra important to me to make sure that they know. And if they call and ask, like I got a question last night about streetlights, I have no idea what the answer is about it. So I got to go and start doing the research on what that is, and but we'll find out. So I don't have all the answers to say the least, and I don't know if that's possible in this world today. But I'm gonna try my best to find it and communicate with the constituents.
Well, I think that's the thing. Everybody always has their answer. But what's the right answer? And it's sometimes it's hard to get to when you start. I mean, you do have to start digging. And I think working here at the newspaper, that's something that we say. We don't have the answer. But we can find out together.
Sure. And so I think that's only gonna be more important going forward, just for the speed at which they change. Right now it seems like some new thing is coming out of Washington, D.C. every day, or some giant plan, and then embedded in this giant plan are 10,000 things that affect local government, or fossil fuels, or gas taxes, or and there's such a underlying network of things that happen in local government, state government, federal government. It's just a bigger umbrella each time. But it's amazing though what I've been able to learn in the last 3 years, and things I never thought I'd had to. And
it's crazy, I know, but I mean, politics is something that's always interests me to a point. But then when you really start digging, you start, do you really
it can
want?
Get complicated. Absolutely, it can get complicated. And there's just all kinds of things. I'm a big proponent of taxation across a consumption base. The archaicness of our systems as far as our property valuation. And Ronald Wood does a great job, but I think about in his system, in the PVA system as it stands today, you are elected to position, but then you're expected to step up these people's property, and then if you want to run for re-election, then you have that opportunity. I mean, it's the most unfair setup ever. So, how are we going to address that kind of stuff going forward? And that's what intrigues me. We are in the middle of the southeast United States, probably the most strategic location, one of the most strategic locations in America. So how does interstate travel impact our tax base for the people passing through and visiting, especially like on our gas tax that funds our roads? How does that impact us versus assessing your property on XYZ Avenue, or your land, or your agricultural purpose land? So there's some opportunities there that I don't know what the time is out there that's going to allow that to kind of be adjusted. And, but we do some things that are.
Well, it seems like every time you get the answer maybe to something, then all of a sudden it changes again. So then you got to start from scratch and start all over.
So I definitely look for the legislature to address some modernizations in this next session. That'll help, and then hopefully in future generations, absolutely. because you've got things that are out there underlying now that have come about, like Bitcoin.
Right.
I mean, the crypto world is change. I mean, how do you tax it? How do you regulate it? How do you, so just like you said, every day there's something.
Oh, no, that's something when you mention, cryptocurrency, that's something that just, I have no idea anything about it. Of course, my wife, she researches it, and I know Amber, she researches. She does that too and invests in it, and it's something that I don't get the way everything just changes.
The blockchain stuff is fascinating, and it has big implications for certainly banks and financial markets and business in general. So it's a proving ground, and just like this giant experiment right now. It's interesting. So we'll see how that flows into out of government one day. So, who knows?
I mean, like you said, everything changes, and of course, we live in I don't even think our world, I hate to say normal anymore. What's normal anymore in the world?
You gotta, who knows from day to day?
Because today, you'll come in here, and tomorrow it would be a whole different conversation that we'd have tomorrow about everything we talk about today.
Yeah.
And of course, I know with winter coming up,
yep,
got a lot of change coming that way too. And the way it looks, might be in for a bad winter this year.
Could be a doozy.
I don't know if anybody buys into Firemire forecast or whatever. I'm kind of one of those, I guess, old people that do buy into it, because it kind of seems like it's always right. It's a lot of the money. So, what as far as county wise in your district, how do you look on things like that?
David Waldron and the whole team out at the garage, they do a great job for us. They're kind of an unsung hero. A lot of our law enforcement, EMTs, a lot of our first responders, they get credit a lot of times, but for those people to get to the places they need to go, for the ambulance to get to XYZ house, the road department sometimes has to be the first line to make that happen. Right. So, they work tirelessly to do that. We're already prepared. David's been working on the equipment, getting things sharpened, getting blades on, checking salt spreaders, testing, et cetera, et cetera. And then getting people cross-trained and, really, this is his first, year since Wendell Lane retired.
Okay.
And, he's been with us a long time, and he's done a great job. He's great to work with. Of course, we've got some paving finishing up this week.
And thank you. Jeff has always been extremely good with keeping us up to date about what's going on, and we appreciate that coming to us and getting that news out. So thank you for that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Because I know it's the whole paving, that can be a doozy.
Well, people think, it's an inconvenience to me to get out of my house, but what some folks don't think about, and it's hard to think about sometimes because if it doesn't affect you, is school bus traffic. Mm-hmm. So I stay right in the, I know Dustin probably gets tired of hearing from me, but to help them with routing. And then, of course, Mark and ComCare with our ambulances. Mm-hmm. Chief Brent Francis with our fire. We've got a road shut down. We've got a culvert dug out. It's very time sensitive because if it's a dead end road, especially because we're impeding somebody's ability to get some critical service possibly.
Definitely.
We take it really serious, and David, again, and his team, they do a fascinating, excellent job of doing that. And they're very dedicated to it. But as far as I know, everything's we button up for winter and watch the freeze and thaw cycle happen, and then start addressing the potholes the first thaw of the spring. So, that's one thing we have really committed, and Judge Carlin's been great about, and the other magistrates about working together to pave just as many miles.
That's something I have to credit you guys on. That's something I do love to see, the sense of course, we talk about Caldwell, we talk about community, and of course, that's something big around here that we love is local supporting locals. That's what we go by, local supporting locals. And that's something that I talked to Mr. Carling about this. I think it's so great to see with, with Elbert and with Jeff and Brent and with you. You may have some different opinions. You may butt heads, and I'm sure you do. but however, you can all work together, and I think that is so great. And I think that's a testament to Caldwell County, what kind of people we have here.
Yeah.
How we can all work together.
Well, you always got to be looking at that greater good,
Right?
You know, and I'll be the first to admit there are things that come up that just aren't my wheelhouse.
Right.
You know, I'll go to Boone, or I'll go to Brent, or I'll go to Elbert. Like cattle, I've never raised cattle.
Right.
So if there's some, you know, I had an issue where some drainage was coming off some cattle property onto somebody's property, and there's all, I mean, that's all state statute stuff. I mean, there's a lot, but I don't mind to pick up the phone and go, hey man, this is way outside of my area.
Right.
Can you help me out? What do you know about it? And so by having that interaction and having that ability, same with Mayor Young and the city council, I mean, we'll butt on stuff, we'll butt heads, but it's always at the greater good. And it begs discussion, it forms discussions, you know.
And that's what you got to do. I mean, if you don't...
That's how it should be.
Yeah, I mean, that's how everything starts, is a discussion. When one person is headstrong about something, that's when things don't, you know, you got to open up your mind and, you know, that's how...
Hey, hear them out. You know, and there's been times that I've reached out about things that I had a clear idea and a clear understanding of how I thought that should go.
Right.
And after talking to somebody, go, I was way off base on that.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's something that comes, like I said, it goes back to age and experiences. You kind of, you know, I've certainly mellowed.
Well, I can say the same with me too.
And we'll continue to.
Yeah, and I think that just happens with age. And of course, Caldwell County, of course, it will always be my home. I don't look on moving anywhere, and I've always been a small town kind of a person, and quiet kind of a person. And of course, we moved here in 1981, and of course, and that's when I got to know you and everybody out that way in Craig Delaney, and that. But living here in Caldwell, Caldwell's a special place. It really is, and I think it gets lost. And I understand when people are young, they say, "Well, I can't wait to get out of Caldwell County," but most of the time they always come back. And
a lot do, and that's what we need. It's awesome.
And you know, that's what I love about seeing with CODA, having a young person in there. Not to disregard our past mayors, because we've had great mayors. I mean, we've been blessed to have some great mayors, and to have that young blood. If you will, in office here in Princeton, and to see where how he's grown and the person that he is now,
and will continue to, like we all do.
And I'm sure he's got, you know, his future's going to be bright wherever he goes. But to have that young mindset here in Princeton is so awesome to see, and I think you have to have something like that to spearhead, like with the internet downtown with T-Mobile. I mean. It's awesome, and you know, got to credit that to people like Chris George and to CODA, to what they're doing and bringing into our community.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team effort, and you know, the thing about the young folks that we want to attract back, it's amazing because you have to provide the safest, the best, and the most technologically advanced to compete with XYZ, whose revenues are out of sight. You know, here we are in West Kentucky trying to compete with Odom County and Boone County and Kenton County, and I love these guys. I know a lot of those folks up there, if any of you ever tune in, but man, you make it rough on us in the smaller areas to the west. But you know, a constant battle, Chad, is just trying to figure out ways to do that attraction and kind of sell ourselves on you know, what we have to offer. And I think we're winning in that battle. It's just how do we capture more of that audience to let them know we're here. And then you kind of get to the thing, you know, that's like I was up visiting the deputy judge in E-Town, and they just announced in Glenview the Ford plant, the $5 billion investment is going to employ 5,000 people. E-Town's already growing, but now you just put this hyper accelerator on it. So then you start thinking about building, codes, sewers, electric, buses, schools, on and on and on. And I mean, this thing just goes boom. And so I'm constantly always on the lookout for better industries, or not better than we have, but ancillary or good industries. to attract, but I'm also got an eye on how much do we want to change? How much do we want to grow?
Right.
So it's kind of a constant balancing act and kind of thinking through what all that means.
When I was, of course, the paper, we've been open, it'll be a year in January that we've been going, but before then I was with the chamber, and of course that's when COVID was, I mean, it was raging right then. But to see with Caldwell, nothing really slowed down.
Right.
And it was great. I mean, I know a lot of the businesses, they adapted.
Right.
They may have had to close their doors, but they still adapted, to where a lot of them didn't do online ordering. So they adapted to that. And that's what it's all about, adapting.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's interesting and something that we can certainly capture is I was involved in a discussion with a lady that's kind of a local honey producer, and she's looking for retail space downtown. And it was like, by sharing something, I connected her with somebody that's going to show her a building. And So what I think is you can see and what we can start to capture a little bit more is you have people from all over the world that know Newsome's.
Yeah.
You have people from all over the southeastern United States that come by their prom dresses at Z.O. Bros.
Yeah.
And every business in between, Coleman's, I mean, I can name them all. They're all great. Brantley's. Our downtown is a special place.
Oh, it is.
As you know, being in your chamber role.
Yes.
And to kind of, when you attract these young people and you attract this new entrepreneurial spirit, man, you can just, I mean, we're just I feel like we're on the tip of like a kind of a momentum shift where we can just really start to promote and capture all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, when we look to the east, at least I do a lot of benchmarking on stuff. That's just how I was trained in my work and history. And so when I go to Bardstown, I look around. When I go to Gatlinburg, I'm looking around. When I go to Boston or wherever I might be, I'm looking around. But I'm also looking at other cities that aren't as fortunate as us.
Right.
And go, what happened?
Right.
What took you to here? What got you here in both ways. And I think, as far as local governance, that's a critical piece of how you can help shape that future.
No, definitely.
And I always look, people they'll ask, like you did, what's your motivation?
Yeah.
It's Ellie.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the way with our families.
Yeah.
It's of course I've got a daughter that's graduating this year.
Right.
Of course, my wife, she's an accountant in Hopkinsville, and it, it's those steps as you get older. What is your motivation to? We want to see, like with Ellie, how old is she?
She'll be 7.
She'll be 7
next month.
You want that better world for her to grow up in, and whether she chooses to live here in Caldwell or move away, but you want that place here in Caldwell to be a better place for her. The same way we want it for Izzy, and to see, if Izzy ever wanted to come back here and open a business after she gets back from college, and that's what we want, and we want to make it better for the generations to come. Yeah, and
people underestimate the interactions that I get to have with the school board, with all our schools, the principals, that foundation and the passion that those teachers and paraprofessionals, bus drivers, cafeteria workers. I mean, every day I get a report card on all that activity by what Ellie's telling me about her day. And I'm gonna tell you that I attribute all the curiosity about government, all that curiosity about work and life to that foundational group that I had down on Crowder Dulaney, my little village. And then the teachers I had.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I had some amazing teachers just right here in little Caldwell County.
Yeah.
And I went on to UK and got out.
Right.
and then got my MBA later.
Yeah.
And I just attribute so much to my upbringing here and the influence of so many awesome people.
And speaking of that, that's when we had Mr. Fawn on last week.
Oh man, what a treasure.
Well, and that's we look on the generations that we have now. It's the generations that come before us, like Mr. Fawn. The school teachers, speaking of Mr. Curling, I had him for 5th grade.
Me too.
And one of the best people that left a mark on me in 5th grade. I'm sure he did you. And then, of course, you take teachers like Mr. Carol Boyd and Brenda Scott was a big help with me in my art, and influencing me and encouraging me. So what we have before us, we bring that into us, and then we can pass it on and keep it going. But a lot of that gets lost in the mud somewhere, and I don't know where it gets lost.
The thing about it is, I think personally, a lot of people, they carry those lessons forever, and they call on them every day. I got to tell you, it's so surreal for me, and I bring it up to Larry pretty often, especially when we're up on the roof of the courthouse, like we'll be in short order putting up Christmas lights. Right. I think how funny it is that I had him for 5th grade reading, and now I work with him side by side on stuff. It's so cool, man. I just love that. But we have a lot of fun with it. He said, I always knew you'd do something because you raised your hand at every question. He's
so
Mr. He's a trip.
He's great, and I hope we can get him in here to.
Or as I like to call him now, Curling Claws. This
Curling Claws. Well, I tell you what. Speaking of Mr. Curling, I know if you guys have seen the courthouse, and I'm sure it's going to be lit up before too long. Been getting the lights ready, and I know you've been helping with that, and it's a lot. But it's going to look pretty.
Oh, man.
Mr. Curling has done so much for the court. I mean, just to look at the courthouse when the 4th of July, when no matter what kind of holiday, I mean, it's going to be something that's going to be lit up.
Yeah, and it's something important I want to pass along to people about this, is that not only does Larry build all that stuff in his garage.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. He builds it all, pretty much all of it. He paid and has paid since it's been going on for every piece of that.
Really?
Lighting, extension cords, wood, whatever. That is a zero expense to the
I did not know
taxpayers of Caldwell County.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it looks like this year it's grown even bigger than what it was last year.
I tell him he's I call him Clark Griswold as well. So I'm letting out all my pet names for Judge Curley.
Well, I know what to call him next week in the fiscal court meeting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it just goes to show you that when you talk about generations, is that he's been retired now from transportation director for several years, so he's been in the classroom.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess 20 years.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. But, he never loses this desire he has for lighting up these kids' eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, that 5th grade teacher is still right there.
Yeah.
He's just aged a little.
Well, if you remember in 5th grade, he would always go all out for Christmas.
Yes.
He always decorated. So it's...
He is he's a super humble Christian man to kind of, and I've always looked at him as a mentor.
Yeah.
And, now he's become a friend, and it's just, it's an awesome opportunity to be able to represent the people and work side by side by somebody like him.
Yeah, it
really,
really
he'd be embarrassed by me saying that, like I've got a man crush or something. That's not the case, but I have the utmost respect for Judge Curley.
Yeah, and there's not many people like that leave that mark on you, and that you think about. And he's the same person I remember from when I was 12 years old, sitting in his classroom, and of course I was thinking about this the other day when. Of course, I want to get Mr. Curling on here just to talk about things like we're doing this morning. But one of the coolest things about Mr. Curling was...
He's not a big talker, Chad.
Yeah, I know.
He's a little shy.
He would always... I can remember her coming in the classroom with his cup of coffee and a bran muffin every single morning. But then it was the coolest thing because of all the teachers, he was always the first one to get the coolest video games. And he would let us borrow them. Which was cool for the teacher to let, well, you're next in line, Did he ever get to play it? But he would always, make sure that we got to, which was, I just thought was the coolest thing. But
I still tease him. He's strong, too. You guys don't know. He's strong.
Yeah.
And, boy, that makes him mad. I tell him that all the time. Yeah. He's strong, how strong he is.
Yeah.
So we have a great relationship, and I do with everybody on the court and everybody at the courthouse. I mean, it's a team effort. All those folks work tremendously hard, Miss Tony and Ronald and Sheriff's Office and Massey and Danny, and man, there's just I don't want to leave anybody out. John over at the jail. Yeah. I mean, there's just Glenda and Tammy. I mean,
we've got a great group, and I know we've got, of course, campaigning and all that started up, and I know that we're gonna. Whatever happens with wherever it happens is still going to be a good team with what we've got here in Caldwell County, and that's what I love to see, just local people, and doing what they do and helping people. And
Yeah, man. If you're interested in running for office, just do what you say and say what you mean.
It's exactly, just back it up.
Just tell them.
Yeah.
Just tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And I do that, and sometimes it's not.
Well,
that's
what
it's not the truth people always want to hear, but
that's what my wife always says. Of course, I'm the kind of person I don't like to hurt feelings.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of dance around
things,
and my wife says, "Just rip the Band-Aid off and get it over
and move on."
And that's when she says, "Well, if I hurt your feelings, it was, probably need to be said."
Yeah.
That happens with me a lot. I'll speak the truth, and when I do, it hurts feelings because I don't ever.
You gotta kind of figure out the best way to deliver that. Sometimes
I'm a lot like my mama in that way, but which is not
what
a bad
sweetheart
thing.
she is.
It's not a bad thing, but
Miss Becky.
But that's what it takes, though.
It is.
We've all got different personalities, and that's what makes us the way it is around here. Every single one of us here at the paper, we were just talking about this morning.
Bring something different.
Oh boy, do we ever bring something different? But it's but we all work, what we all bring to the table.
It's we got. It's an amazing. Every day's a different day.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about it.
Yeah.
I mean, every day's a different challenge. Solar. We've got about a 2,000 acre solar installation going in.
Yeah.
Out around the Crider community. Caldwell County, the government side, we don't have a lot of involvement in the direct. It's a private owner's land and it's a private company wanting to put panels on it.
Right.
So it's kind of an interesting place for government, but, what we are actively engaged in is making sure that adequate environmental and long-term protections are in place. You have to clean up the thing, or you had to, so there's things with bonding that we're working on that, and then, different protections for the residents around.
Yeah.
So those are all things that are kind of actively going on. That's a huge thing. I think there's 17 active sites right now in Kentucky.
Really?
And so me and the Meade County judge, Henderson County judge, Webster County judge, Madison County judge, we've all been talking and interacting with our legislatures and other people, getting all the information we can about what this looks like.
Yeah.
Making sure we have adequate protections.
Yeah.
We have the legalese necessary to cover 25, 30, 40, 50 years down the road. So every day is something amazingly different and equally as challenging.
It's amazing to me, everything, because you really, on the surface, it just looks like, well, this is your title, this is your title. But I don't think anybody really knows what goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bases to cover.
Yeah.
And, it's like the ARPA and the RDOF funds and all these federal funds that are become available for infrastructure and different things.
Right.
I mean, you're in constant review and getting updates from people that are through associations and things trying to figure out, okay, how can we get our piece of this? Do we need our piece? Do we need this? Can we put it on this? So it's
it's a big jigsaw puzzle.
And then the cooling tower goes out, or the whatever at the courthouse, or the roof's leaking at the jail, or the plumbing stopped up, or the dog shelter this, or I mean, it's just it's mowing season.
Right.
Culvert's washed out. I mean, I can go on and on, but
something.
It's a great deal of stuff, and the more you participate in it, and the more you learn, the more benefit you can be by engaging in that, and kind of working and coordinating things, and asking for assistance where necessary. So, one thing I always like to tell people when I'm on anything is a simple rule: if your road has yellow or white lines, that's a state road. A lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that.
If it doesn't, it's a county road or city road. So that's just a tidbit I like to give out. That's it.
I did not know that.
It has a road number typically. It'll be like 128, 126, 139, 91. But it'll always, if it's a state maintained and controlled highway, it'll always have yellow and or white lines on it.
I learned something this morning.
County and city roads do not have any.
That's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
See?
Little piece of.
Just a tidbit.
Just a tidbit.
People call about state stuff with me, and I'm glad to reach out to the state, and we work well together.
Yeah.
At the garage. And then a lot of times I just have to help people to kind of. Hey, I want to help you, but I can't snap my fingers and get everything done.
I get it. I know Thanksgiving is next week.
Next week?
we posted it yesterday with the schedule. But would you want to let everybody know about the trash schedule?
So for Caldwell County citizens, our trash schedule is going to be Thursday will be closed. Thursday route will run Friday, and Friday route will run Saturday. So it's going to be a one-day delay through Saturday from Thursday. So Thursday route will run Friday, Friday route will run Saturday. Just like everybody else, we are having labor issues. We have done our best to try to manage it. Our operations group but we've had some changes in our office staff. So the 270-365-6200 number sometimes can be difficult to get to. I don't have the 800 number, but there is a KY customer service at WCAAmerica.com. It's on your Facebook page. It's on mine. What happens when you do that email, if you have a service interruption, billing issue, any of those type things, and if you'll just shoot that in an email with your name, address, phone number, and account number if you have it handy, you'll get almost instantaneous feedback Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. And what that is, that goes to our customer service teams in Kentucky, Missouri, and all our operational leadership team, and myself's included on that email. So it's a great way to communicate. If you're at work, if you've got something going on, you don't want to spend time on hold, but you need resolution to your issue, and this is kind of the way the technology is going on everything. Where you got to push 1 and 3 and 12 and 6 and 4 and all that stuff, and that's not really my style, but that's just what has happened to every industry. But the email's a great way. Of course, most of you know I'm on Facebook, and the vast majority of the county has my cell phone number. So they can get a hold of me either way. But want everybody to have a happy and safe holiday season. Of course, just reach out if there's anything we can do. If you've got questions about something, anything I've said today, or anything that's a concern of you, just reach out.
And we'll have this where anybody will put in the bio how people can contact you and such. And of course, later on today, this will be uploaded to our YouTube account too. So
all right, man.
We'll have a edited version on there as well. So but Jeff, I want to thank you for coming in.
Yeah, man, it's like sitting on the front porch, man, just reminiscing. I've enjoyed my time with you.
We've got the faux wood behind us.
I like it.
But yeah, we do thank you for coming in today.
Hey, man, my pleasure.
And keeping us up to date on some stuff. And I know with whatever going on, you'll keep us informed on things. And,
we'll do our best, absolutely.
But guys, we want to thank you for joining us this morning, and again, thank you to Jeff for coming in. And the comment section will be open, so if you after you watch this, if you have a comment that you'd like to share with Jeff, it'll just share it down in the feed, and I'm sure Jeff will tag him in this post. That way he can check it, and if he has any questions to answer, he'll do that. But guys, we want to
be glad to.
Yeah, we thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
You have to tell Miss Sue we said hi.
I'll do that.
It's been a while since I've seen her, so
yeah, she lays low.
No, I don't blame her. When you're tired, I think that's what you want.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the way Mom is now. Mom's retired, and she just kind of
whatever Ellie's doing. That's what my mom's interested in. I'm kind of second fiddle now. It's kind of like
I think it happens, doesn't it?
I fed and raised you, boy. It's time to give me a granddaughter. She says she waited long enough. So.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I know that's the way it is with Izzy. It's Izzy gets whatever she wants, and where was I?
I'm just blessed that we have two influences like them to
isn't that the truth?
Pass it along. So
I know I wish my grandparents were still around, but I know it's good to have those influences, and
100%.
the ones that we do.
Yes, sir.
And that they'll get to cherish those for a long
all time, man.
So, but anyway, Jeff, again, thank you for coming in this morning, and guys, we'll see you again next Wednesday. And I hope you can tune in and be with us for another Breakfast with the Banner next week. So, guys, you have a blessed rest of your Friday and a very blessed weekend. See y'all.
Bye-bye.